Good morning, everyone. When I was a junior in high school, I had to take a year-long course called Christian Justice. This occurred at my all-boys Jesuit high school in Kansas City, where religion was a academic subject like calculus or physics. I was fortunate that year to find myself in the class with a new teacher, Mr. Grabs. He was soft-spoken and slight. He wasn't the kind of teacher who really commanded a room of 17-year-old boys. But believe me when I say that Mr. Grabs was legit. Uh, in our class, Mr. Grabs made us think about the real world meaning of religion. We debated the ethics of the death penalty. We learned about the disastrous consequences of U.S. foreign policy, and we were asked to rethink received ideas about guns, discrimination, even capitalism. I didn't know until later that Mr. Grabs was part of a group called the Catholic Worker Movement, and that he also lived at and ran a homeless shelter in Kansas City. In Mr. Grabs, I found someone who took my own radical ideas seriously and helped me see them as meaningfully related to religion. He was really the first adult who had ever met who kind of shared these ideas. Later, when I moved to Boston for college, I met my wife, Kendra, who's over there, and she shared my own radical ideas about the world. And as we moved from Boston to New Mexico to North Carolina and back to Boston, Kendra and I met many people like Mr. Grabs, people who felt the fire of commitment as a kind of spiritual calling. The force of history, though, was to pull Kendra and I, away from the religious communities that we had both grown up in. I can clearly remember attending a Catholic Mass in the early 2000s, just as the Iraq War was commencing. Sitting there, I wondered to myself, what is the point of all of this if the priest isn't even going to mention the war? Why bother? That was the last of a religion for me for a long time. Years later, in 2015, Kendra and I moved to upstate New York. We arrived here with a 1-year-old in tow and not a single connection to this place. That first fall in Saratoga Springs, Kendra suggested, why not join a church? The idea seemed unlikely at the time. We had long since given up on church, and Kendra's suggestion was almost a joke. You can't join a church just for the potlucks, I told her. But during the pandemic, she found UUSS online and began attending services virtually. What she found there and what we have found here was something familiar and yet new. At UUSS, we have found a community that has rooted us to this place. Sitting here in the Great Hall, breathing in love and breathing out peace, the old radical ideas have been given a new spiritual dimension for me that we can witness in action. Our kids, Lila and Felix, have participated in the RE program and OWL. We value the election work that we have undertaken with this congregation and the care that members show for each other. And there is no doubt in my mind that this congregation has made Kendra and I better as parents, more patient, and more clear-eyed about the values that matter to the community that is our family. In this congregation, we have found a community of people who share the fire of commitment that Mr. Grabs validated for me 25 years ago. Kendra and I are grateful to Reverends Lynn and Wendy to all the friends we have made in this congregation. For all of these reasons, we choose to support UUSS through our annual pledge, which we plan to increase by 10% this year. We hope you will join us and consider making a pledge to sustain this congregation. Thank you.